Welcome back to Radical and Relevant, where each day we're exploring the genius of the gospel, the genius of Jesus' life and teachings. Today we read about the death of John the Baptist. The reading comes from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 6, verses 17 through 29. For Herod had sent and seized John the Baptist and bound him in prison for the sake of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife, because he had married her. For John said to Herod, "It is not lawful for you to have your brother's wife." And Herodias had a grudge against John and wanted to kill him, but she could not, for Herod feared John the Baptist, knowing that he was a righteous and holy man, and kept him safe. When he heard him, he was much perplexed, and yet he heard him gladly. But an opportunity came when Herod, on his birthday, gave a banquet for his courtiers and officers and the leading men of Galilee. For when Herodias' daughter came in and danced, she pleased Herod and his guests. And the king said to the girl, "Ask me for whatever you wish, and I will grant it." And he vowed to her, "Whatever you ask me, I will give you, even half of my kingdom." And she went out and said to her mother, "What shall I ask?" And she said, "The head of John the Baptist." And she came in immediately with haste to the king and asked, saying, "I want you to give me at once the head of John the Baptist on a platter." And the king was exceedingly sorry, but because of his oaths and his guests, he did not want to break his word to her. And immediately the king sent a soldier of the guard and gave orders to bring John the Baptist's head. He went and beheaded him in prison and brought his head on a platter and gave it to the girl, and the girl gave it to her mother. When his disciples heard of it, they came and took his body and laid it in a tomb. What jumps out at you today? Is there a word? Is there a phrase? Is there an idea? There's so many things here. One is the pride of Herod, that he was not able to go back on his word because this girl really had asked for something completely inappropriate. I also find it fascinating that Herod took delight in listening to John the Baptist. That Herod also feared John the Baptist. Why did he fear him? Because he knew he was righteous. He knew he was a righteous and holy man. And so even though Herod was living a life, by all accounts, very, very far from God, steeped in all sorts of pleasure and really just endless pleasure upon pleasure upon pleasure, even in the midst of all of that, he was still able to recognize a righteous man when he stood in his midst. He was still able to recognize a holy man when he spoke. And he both delighted in that and feared that. And I think we have interesting responses to holy people when we encounter them, or even holy readings and books that challenge us to grow in holiness. There's some books that on certain days I don't want to pick them up, and the reason I don't want to pick them up is because I know they're going to challenge me to grow and to change. They're going to stretch me. They're going to challenge me to expand my heart and my soul and my mind. And there's some days when I don't want to read that book today. And And the great challenge is, when we recognize that, is to override that and say, today is the day that I need to read that book above all other days when I feel like reading that book. Today is the day for me to pick that book up and read. Have a great day. And remember, be bold, be Catholic.